Hi there guys, today I want to talk about the game modes in Elite and Dangerous, specifically a cooperative mode. Now as it stands at the moment we have three modes. They are open play, which means it's open to anything. This includes player versus enemies, player versus player, and all the rest of it. Then we have private, which is kind of used for groups of friends usually. So if you've got 5 or 6 friends, you can just be with them. And lastly, we got solo, which I kind of see as a last resort. That's because solo, for a game that's always online, to make yourself away from everybody else kind of feels a bit of a kind of negative thing of the game. But anyway, so my biggest complaints with open play is basically allowing player versus player at any time. Like I said, this can lead to a lot of harassment and kind of bullying. Have actually seen and actually had myself by joining open. It's primarily why I kind of stay away from open now. I like the idea originally where you could actually meet random commanders and sort of work with them and see. But after things happen, I usually stay away from that. Obviously, the next thing we've got is private group. Like I said, Mobius is trying to provide a way of having player versus enemies or environment, but this has grown so big now, Mobius. I think it has actually reached 2 groups. Obviously the first group I think is 20,000 members, which to me proves that if there's that many people looking for cooperative play, surely they should be really seriously looking at implementing it. 20,000 commanders is not a small amount. Like I said, obviously I know I've got 3 on mine, but that's a separate thing. But Mobius, like I said, is a big group that's supposed to only do it. And apparently a few days ago, a group of people set out to attack other players in Mobius, basically bringing the player versus player element into Mobius, where that is not supposed to be allowed. But I think it was quite hard for Mobius to do much about, because there isn't any kind of tools or facilities for handling it. And like I said, lastly we've got solo player, which is basically you cut yourself off from everybody, which a lot of the times if you can use it. For example, if you, well, I would think a lot of traders would use it. People who, like, what you could do as well, what I do sometimes, is that you use it for, if you've been in a fight, switch into solo so you make sure you get back safely. But I guess with something like cooperative mode, there wouldn't really be much need for the solo. I think they would have to watch how it would be implemented. The first thing we'd have to do obviously is stop other players shooting each other, which would be quite an easy thing to do. The second issue they'd have to watch is shield ramming. Basically people ramming each other to knock the shields out. I think what they could do to stop that is that in a cooperative mode, if one commander rams another, the one who rammed into the other ship suffers the shield damage, but the one who didn't ram into them didn't suffer anything. So for example, you've got 2 ships going in and out of a station, the one coming in at a reasonable speed, like you say at the bottom where it says too fast or something, the one is just going at a normal speed, hasn't got a problem. But when another one comes out and charges out the door and smacks into the other ship, then that ship would suffer the damage, but the one going about their business wouldn't suffer any damage. Then the other issue they'd have to watch in a co-op mode would be people getting in the way, putting boxes and stuff like that, which I don't know which is an ideal solution for that is. I think what they've done in the past is trying to limit the amount you can eject. Obviously that does help a bit. Then finally, like I said, we have our solo play, which is kind of not really makes sense to me because this game is always online. You can't actually play it offline. Um, if you were to completely play it offline, then I would understand it, but to me it doesn't really make much sense. So I did make a little mock-up of how I think it could look, and I don't think there'd be actually any negative issue offering another game mode. I've actually read on the forums a few times and that people saying that if you offered a cooperative mode it would make it too easy. However, I wouldn't think it would be a negative thing to offer an extra mode. How could it be a negative thing? So obviously we've got our same modes, and this time we've got co-op play. I didn't get quite the font quite right. It's as you can see, it does look a little bit slightly different, but it's kind of a mock-up of seeing how it could look. And like I said, I think how could it be a negative thing? Obviously, if you had this option, then if you enjoy your player versus player, you're staying open. If you want to meet other people but not feel that you could be attacked by another player, then the cooperative mode would be there. Obviously you've got your private groups again for your friends, and for those who don't want to mix with anybody, then keep solo in game. So yeah guys, how do you feel about the game at the moment? Do you think co-op mode would be a beneficial thing? Do you think more people would move out of solo and would move into co-op games? Do you think Mobius then wouldn't serve a purpose anymore? Do you like how things are at the moment? Do you like the player versus element? Myself, I don't think it's very fair having four commanders gang up on one person. It feels kind of victimising. It kind of feels a bit bullying in some ways. I know some people, pirate groups, do it fairly, and if they attack another person they give them a grace cooldown time. However, there are just players out there in open who will just purely attack other players and kill them for fun, and I don't see how it's very fun spending hours and hours building up your money for somebody to come along and attack you for no reason and make you lose a heck of a lot of money. Another issue with open play, which I just remembered, is that if you actually do get attacked by a pirate, and say it's one pirate and you've got a reasonable ship and you start fighting them, now you're not entirely sure if they're going to let you get the kill, because what they can do, if they obviously are bad at it, is they can use something called combat logging, and just when you're about to kill them, Alt Control Delete, go into Task Manager, look for Frontier, kill task. This means you can't actually finish them off and get the kill. Obviously it can work both ways. It's not an ideal solution how Frontier have done the game at the moment, using a point-to-point way. Obviously what this means is you act as your own kind of server, and when you pull the plug you can't get any more updates. Again, it's the same on their side, so if they pull the plug on their computer, well, not on their computer but on their game, then you can't affect them. So like I said, it's not ideal at all, combat logging. I can understand why Frontier is saying it's a big issue and things like that. It can be, yes. I don't think it's fair on either side, and I think the people who attack other players are probably going to use something like combat logging if they are going to get destroyed, primarily because they don't want to get wiped out and actually give you the money. I mean, one thing they could also look at with the player versus player side is the reward. For me, it doesn't really make much sense that players attacking other players, what do they really get? They might get just a few units of cargo, which are not worth too much. Like I said, it's not proper reward and all that lot. I mean, another issue I suppose with the open play as well is that systems that are heavily populated and should be heavily policed are obviously targets for pirates because there's more people there. And you'd think a place like, for example, Seoul, which is our universe, would have a lot of active police patrolling so they wouldn't get pirates in. However, the way it works is it works the opposite way, because there's more players there, they target them. Same as, for example, in community events where people go together and go to a set position that they converge on one place, that obviously the pirates go there too. And say this place they converge on is a highly populated, busy area, then surely the police should have a more proactive role there. They should pursue these people who are pirates and attack them and kill them. For example, when you get pulled out of hyperspace, you should have an escort of police ships, for example, helping you. In more populated areas, I can understand in anarchy systems, systems where you haven't got the support, then you wouldn't get any backup. It would make complete sense, and then the pirates would hang off in the anarchy systems where they should kind of be. At the moment, like I said, where they hang off in the busy areas, it doesn't really make much sense. Like I said, 4 versus 1 is not fair in my book, and I think it's kind of a bit cowardly in some respects. Obviously, the way the ships are done in Elite, that an Anaconda costing 140 million isn't 10 times better than two. Well, it's actually probably weaker in 2 Asps attacking it, which would cost about 12 million between them. So they're a tenth of the price. Anyway, guys, how do you feel about a cooperative mode? Do you think it would actually do you think it'd be beneficial? Do you think it would actually make a negative? Which I can't see how offering an extra game mode would be a negative thing. Do you think more people would move out solo and come into a cooperative mode? Would it end basically Mobius because there's no need for it? I mean, another option, what they could do is make better group tools and give Mobius more power, which I'm not totally keen on, because groups should be kept probably as just a group of friends rather than a big community. And I think basically Mobius has grown too big. I think Mobius should be basically a new option on the menu. I think there would be a lot more people using it, because obviously the word Mobius is not sort of a thing you go out and look for in a private group. When you're given a big list of groups, how do you know which ones to join? So like I said, you search. I mean, you might. What do you search for? Why would you type the word Mobius in unless you knew about it? So I think more people would actually join the cooperative mode. Anyway, guys, let me know how you feel in the comments below. Take care and have fun out there, guys.